Think twice before you give your heart away. Think twice before you let someone say, don't rush.
What is going on, everybody? This is Adrian and Marina, your Think Twice educators, with another relationship experience podcast episode here. And today we're going to be discussing how to avoid el tóxico, la tóxica, how to avoid a toxic relationship. So, for the first time, we have Marina with us, and we're about to discuss this topic, and we're just going to dive right into it.
Thank you, Adrian.
Yeah.
So I'm Marina. I am part of the Think Twice. I'm an educator, so certified in the what's it called?
SRAE.
Yes, SRAE. So thank you, Adrian. It's a pleasure to be here. So let's just jump in and see what you have for us today.
Alrighty. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started. Here are 5 ways. We're going to give you guys 5 ways today to avoid el tóxica or la tóxica or el tóxico, okay? First thing I want to dive into is understanding red flags. So Marina, can you tell us what are some red flags that we want to make sure to be cautious of when we're dealing with a person who may not be the best for us?
Yeah, definitely. So when you decide to start dating and you are getting in a serious relationship or just dating in general, you should be aware of things that are not normal, and we consider those red flags. One of them could be just wanting the attention of you all the time. If that person's texting you all the time, where they want to know where you at all the time, that would be considered a red flag. Definitely like take that serious, because it might become normal later on.
Absolutely. Yeah, constant text, constant calls. I think when it begins to become dangerous is when you are just chilling in your room and you just want to have some alone time, and all of a sudden you get like 3 messages and they're on 3 different platforms, like Snapchat, messages, and then maybe like a DM on Instagram. That's when it's kind of like, okay, this person might be a little obsessive and we might need to slow down a little bit. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, and at the beginning, like we in our curriculum, we talk about like the love chemicals. It is totally normal for you to want to text with that person all the time, or call that person all the time. I mean, in my time, we used to talk to the person that we liked or were dating for hours, or like talking on the phone, like, you go to sleep first, or I'll go to sleep first. I mean, that's totally normal, but when it becomes a problem is when they do it constantly, obsessive.
Yeah.
Other things such that you would consider a red flag would be like if they're, again, trying to separate you from your family, like, or friends, or they're changing you to something that you're not. That will be another red flag.
Yeah, so I'll give a couple examples of that. Maybe it's someone who's in a sport, right? And all of a sudden you start dating this person. They're like, hey, actually, I don't really want you playing that sport anymore because it takes time away from my sport. Hey, I know you have family dinner, but I really want to talk to you right now. So you probably should be quick, eat quick and then come talk to me. When things like that start happening, those are some things that you want to watch carefully for and be aware of. Small red flags that might not seem big in the beginning, but are pretty big in the long run. So we have a video we show of these red flags. I think it's a girl and a guy, and she shows up at her house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, first thing is stalking. That's another one. Second thing, they go on a date. There's an older man trying to give her like flowers just because they might seem like a cute couple. And the guy is like, nope, don't give my girl flowers. Super jealous, right? That's a second red flag.
Yes.
What are other ones that you spot in that video?
Again, going back to just changing your style, changing the things that you like just to make that person happy. That's definitely a red flag. We're going to be talking in a couple minutes or forward about like getting to know yourself, because once you know yourself, you know that something is off once you start changing yourself for that person. Anything else that you want to add to that?
No, it's so important though for us to constantly be on the lookout for those things. And there is no better way to do that than to have a trusted adult in your life, which we will be diving into here in a second. All right, well, what about setting boundaries? How important is it to set boundaries so you could, build a
Yeah.
fence around that?
Definitely going back to red flags, to avoid red flags, you have to set boundaries. Something as simple as spending time with that person, like what is your boundary to that? You want to be 24/7 with that person, or do you know, like, oh, we're only gonna, if you're dating at school, maybe you're dating during high school, you have your um, high school couple, or how do you say it? High school.
Sweetheart kind of thing?
Yeah.
School sweethearts. Yeah.
Your high school sweetheart, and do you only want to date, like, during high school hours, or it's just putting boundaries such as time, how often do you see each other? Again, a very important topic. We have encountered that different culture is different. Like, for example, like as a Mexican, if you wanted to date someone, you have to take that person. Well, in my case, talking about that, you have to take that person and ask for permission. Hey, I want to start dating my daughter or dating your daughter. Can we get permission? We had our coworker Krista. She would not take someone until she was like serious with that person. So it just depends. Like, everybody has different boundaries, but something as simple as that, like, if you want something serious, you come talk to my parents. I don't know what you want to add to that, Adrian.
Yeah, so it's very, very important to communicate your boundaries right off the bat. You don't want to start off like maybe the first date with, hey, here are, but the second or third date, really start talking about what your boundaries are. Talk about what you want to do for your future as well. Like if you're trying to go to Texas to a university over there, and this other person's trying to stay here, talk about that. But really communicate your boundaries. Hey, on the first couple of months, I really just want to get to know you. So I want to focus on getting to know you and holding hands instead of kissing, because I want my first kiss to mean something. Or, hey, I find you really attractive and I have boundaries, so I want to make sure that we're never alone in a certain place at a certain time, kind of thing, right? So it's really important for you to communicate. Use your words to communicate that. Not only your words, but your body language as well.
And another thing that I want to add to that, like, if you have boundaries, the other person should meet your boundaries. If that person is important and to you, and that person's going to respect your boundaries.
Absolutely.
So definitely always have that other person meet your boundaries. So don't lower your standards just because you really like the other person. Yeah. And vice versa. If the other person has boundaries, you should be respectful of their boundaries as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's dive into self-awareness and self-esteem.
So self-awareness is just getting to know yourself, We talk about our personality styles in our curriculum, You have to learn how you interact with other people to be able to, like, know yourself. And we always encourage students to do, they're important. You're important. You are, as a young adult, as a person, you're important. So if you know your personality and you are aware of what you want in a relationship, because we talk about relationships, right?
Yeah.
I think you should be good and solid gold to pick the right person for you. And I know it might be it sounds too simple, right? I know relationships are complicated, but if you know yourself, you know what you're looking for, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I know you had a really important point that you mentioned earlier.
On self-awareness?
Yes. You had mentioned something about it.
Yeah. So, like, being self-aware is knowing where you currently are in life, too. Like, if you're in sports, if you have good grades, if you're doing so well, and then you start dating someone, and all of a sudden you realize they're like, you can skip class and we can hang out. Or you know what, you probably don't have to play that sport, or, you know, if you're not aware of where you're at, you could be drugged down. So you have to be really conscious of like, all right, who am I and where am I? And what am I looking for? And is this person that I'm dating headed the same direction as me? And that goes right into self-esteem, is knowing who you are and how valuable you are and how unique you are and how amazing you are also has a lot to do with what kind of relationship you'll be in the future. Because if you value yourself enough to find somebody who's a good match or has a great personality that matches yours, then in that way you could find a good match for yourself, like a good person, and avoid dating a person who's maybe not that good for you.
It doesn't necessarily have to be like a bad person for you, but it's just not a good match for you, you know? So I think if we go back to choosing the right person, you have to have things in common, right? We have this thing, we have like a quiz that we do in our curriculum that says, do you believe that opposite attract? What do you think of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, but in my personal experience, I married someone who is completely like polar opposite of me. And it has caused a lot of problems, a lot of conflicts because we're so different. We had to learn to work those opposites, you know?
You may have to work a lot harder to get to understand each other, right?
Yes.
It takes a lot of work. But at the end, it's worth it because you are so polar opposite that you have what he's missing and
we
he has what
complement
you're
each
missing.
other. Yeah.
And you end up complementing each other at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really important to know yourself before actually like getting in a relationship with someone who is completely opposite of you, you know? Like you know that you are different from your partner, so you're gonna complement the difference of your partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So we have, again, the personality quiz that we do. We have 2 colors that could really cause a lot of conflict within each other. One of them is orange. The orange personality is very sporadic, very talkative, very loud, very attention oriented. And then you have the purple personality that's more reserved, more laid back, more detail oriented. So, for example, if these 2 people want to go on vacation, the orange will probably be scrolling on Instagram and then an ad will pop up. Let's go to Hawaii, or a Hawaii trip for $500 a piece. And they'll click on it, they'll reserve it, they probably don't even have enough in their account. They'll put on a credit card or whatever. Now, the purple personality will be like, wait, what did you just do? How much is it going to cost? What are the exact cents so we can budget for it? Have you even planned what we're going to eat over there? Have you, so it could cause a lot of conflict. But that's why it's so important to know yourself and to know whether you want someone who is completely opposite of you or you don't. It's not bad to find someone who's completely opposite of you. Sometimes it's a challenge and it's even better for you because you'll grow out of your comfort zone. But it's all up to you and you have the power in your choice. And so it's super important for you to be self-aware and have great self-esteem about yourself and know how valuable and unique you are.
Yeah, it's just going back to what you were saying, the difference in personality. I think sometimes it's important to have someone who is going to put a break on you. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like the example that you gave was just perfect, you know?
Yeah.
You have to think about the outcomes. Like any decision that you make, such as going to a trip, it's like out of nowhere without thinking your budget or anything. Because I know Adrian's really good at budgeting, you know? And your spouse or your forever or your special person outweighs the consequences, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really good, especially when it comes to a marriage, because you need sometimes some breaks, and I'm the one that needs breaks in my relationship. My husband is the one that always thinks more about it.
Okay, so let's move forward. Number 4 is communication skills. So what communication skills can we use to communicate our boundaries and to just have open and honest conversation about what it is that we want so we don't find ourselves in a relationship that may be toxic.
Yeah, definitely. We always recommend anyone who is going to have a serious conversation with someone to start gentle. Gentle starters are the key, you know? You can't flip on a person and just start blurping things out because the other person's not going to be responsive. They're probably going to get defensive. So, gentle starters, always let the other person that you want to talk to them and let the other person with details of what you're trying to communicate to them, you know? If it's something really important to you, try to express what you want to express to that person without going on and on and on about the same subject. And stop and let the other person think about what you said, you know, and paraphrase what they heard you say.
That is so key. I think there is such a lack in listening today. We lack listening skills. So it's very important for us to keep it short, simple, straight to the point, right?
Yes.
And one method that we can use is the WWA method.
Yeah.
You know, in response, right? But other methods we can use are the speaker-listener technique, which is communicating clearly and getting your point across without spending too much time. Second thing is, you had said something here at the end that really, I was like, oh man, that was so good.
Before we move on, just to clarify for the people that don't know what the WWA method is, a technique that we use, or there's studies done that use that technique that works. So that's what happened, when did it happen, and how did it affect the person or it affect yourself, you know?
Yeah, super good. So using those techniques could really help you get your point across so you don't end up wasting your time again on a relationship that might not be the best for you, okay? Good stuff. So last thing we have here, the fifth point we want to give you is having a support system. So what does that look like? Having a trusted adult. What does that look like?
Just having someone who got your back, right? We always tell the person. And what does it mean that someone has your back? Someone who is, we encourage if you are definitely someone who is, our audience, we're trying to target people who are youth. So people who are young, people from middle school, from high school, someone who is of the age of 18 and older, so someone who is legally an adult, someone who is there for you, who is willing to be the person, your trusted adult, to listen to you. I think I just ramble a lot to what a trusted adult is. So you want to join what a trusted adult is?
Absolutely. So a trusted adult is someone over the age of 18 that's going to be encouraging, that's not going to judge you, not be judgmental towards you, that if you need them at any given time, you can text them or call them and they'll be there for you. If you're a male, you want to have a male trusted adult. If you're a female, you want to have a female trusted adult. Even to this day, I have a trusted adult. Marina, you have a trusted adult, I'm sure, as well.
Yes, my mother has always been my trusted adult. Our relationship when I was younger, was not definitely like, it didn't seem like she was my trusted adult, but in reality, she was my trusted adult because I would go to her
for everything.
Everything.
Yeah, and for you, if we could identify a couple different options, it could be a counselor, it could be a teacher. You have resources. I think someone who has resources that are available for you at all times. For example, I am a trusted adult of someone. If that person comes to me and they're like, I am dealing with substance abuse, I'm going to be like, well, I know a substance abuse counselor. If they're dealing with breakup, well, I know a counselor that can help you, through that. I can help you through that. And it's just finding someone who's going to be in the trenches with you, won't judge you, and is of the same sex as you, okay?
Yes.
And having that at your disposal, sorry, Marina, but having that at your disposal could help a lot because sometimes we need that third person perspective. We ask a question at the schools all the time, and the way we ask it is, have you ever had a friend who was in a relationship that was toxic, but they couldn't see it, but you could? Sometimes we don't see it looking in on the inside, but someone looking in from the outside can definitely see the red flags and can see all that. And having someone in your corner just to back you up, just like as if you were in a boxing match, having someone in your corner to help you out and see what you can't really see, that'll get you farther than probably any of these other points, which are also very important. But
Yeah. Always just take the advice of people who care about you, because people who care about you usually have good advice for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with that, that is today's relationship experience, how to avoid la tóxica, el tóxico, and we cannot wait to see you back on the next one. I hope you enjoyed. Go ahead and comment down below, subscribe, like, share. We appreciate you all, and we're looking forward to seeing you again.